1. It was the third day after my husband, Fu Sinian, was declared brain-dead. I personally signed the consent form for his organ donation. My mother-in-law lost her mind on the spot and pointed at me, cursing me out. Suwan, you venomous woman, you just want my son dead. Even Fu Sinian's true love collapsed in tears beside his hospital bed. I stared at them coldly, saying nothing, because I was reborn. I knew Fu Sinian was never brain-dead in the first place. He was just using a rare drug to fake his death. Also, he could get rid of me, the business marriage wife he never loved, and run off to be with the woman he truly loved. In my past life, I died shielding him from a car. In this life, I decided to help him out and make sure he stayed dead a little longer. Smack, a loud slap landed across my face, burning hot with pain. My mother-in-law, Zhang Monli, had red-rimmed eyes, her fingernails almost digging into my forehead. Suwan, you heartless woman, Xin Yan is still alive, and you're already trying to take his heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys. How dare you? My mother-in-law, Zhang Monli, slapped me across the face, her expression vicious. Fu Xinyan's beloved white moonlight, Lin Yue, let out a perfectly timed sob and weakly leaned against the hospital bed. Xinyan, wake up, look at her. I covered my face, the tip of my tongue tasting a hint of blood. In my previous life, it was the same slap. Crying, I tried to explain, begging them to believe that I loved Fu Xinian and wanted him to live more than anyone else, but they only thought I was putting on an act. After Fu Xinian died, I was thrown out of the Fu family with nothing to my name. I mourned him like a widow, fought the whole world for him, only to see him at a street corner, smiling as he held Lin Yue in his arms. That was when I realized he wasn't dead at all. The car accident, the brain death diagnosis, it was all an elaborate escape plan he had carefully staged. He just wanted to get rid of me, the wife he had married for business reasons and never loved. I rushed over to confront him like a madwoman, but he shoved me aside, and I was hit by a runaway truck. My soul seemed to drift above my body, and I saw Fu Xinian holding Lin Yue, who was too scared to even react. With a look of disgust, he muttered, "What bad luck." In my second life, I had returned to the moment I signed the organ donation consent form. I just looked calmly at my mother-in-law, who was losing her mind, and at the so-called first love putting on an act in front of me. Mom, what are you talking about? I'm only doing this for Xinian. My voice was soft, yet it cut Zhang Monli's cursing off mid-sentence. Lin Yue's sobbing also stopped. I touched my cheek, my smile growing even gentler. A kind person like Xinian was always happiest helping others when he was alive. Although he has sadly passed away, his organs can save several families. Isn't that a form of life continuing on? I believe that if Xinian can somehow know this in the afterlife, he would surely thank me. You're talking nonsense. Zhang Monli trembled all over with rage. Xinian isn't going to die, but the doctor has already declared him brain dead. Mom, I took out the death certificate and gently placed it in front of her. Legally, he's already dead. Lin Yue clutched the edge of the bed, swaying on the verge of collapse. Suwan, how can you be so cold-hearted? Do you not love Xinian at all? I looked at her as if she were nothing more than a clown making a fool of herself. Love, Miss Lin, I'm Fu Xinian's lawful wife. Don't I have more right than you to talk about love? Lin Yue's face went instantly as white as a sheet. In my previous life, I loved too humbly, choosing to turn a blind eye to the sordid affair between her and Fu Xinian. Lin Yue was left speechless by my words. Zhang Monli, however, exploded like a lit fuse and lunged at me again. I don't care. I'm not letting you touch my son. Get out of here. I didn't do anything. I just looked at her coldly. Security. 2 burly security guards came in at the call from outside. Escort these 2 unrelated parties out of here. They're seriously disrupting the normal order of the hospital. The security guard glanced at me, then at Zhang Monli, who was throwing a tantrum, and hesitated. I immediately took out my ID card and a copy of my marriage certificate. I am the patient's wife, his first legal guardian and heir. Now I'm ordering you to clear everyone out. Zhang Monli and Lin Yue were escorted out by the security guards, one on each side, while their shrill curses and cries echoed down the hallway. I walked to the operating room door, where the red "In Surgery" sign blazed brightly. Almost blindingly I laughed. Fu Xinian, is your heart worthy of your first love? No, it isn't. It's only fit to be personally sent into the incinerator by me. I sat on the bench outside the operating room all night as dawn was breaking. Zhang Monli arrived with my parents. The moment my mom saw me, her eyes turned red. Wan, how could you be so foolish? How could you do this to such a wonderful boy like Xinian? My dad, meanwhile, kept a stern face, looking every bit as if he were frustrated to the point of disappointment. Suwan, go in right now and tell the doctor to stop. We can't afford to offend the Fu family. I looked at them, and my heart turned cold. To climb the social ladder, they were willing to sacrifice my happiness in my previous life. After Fu Xinian died, they cut ties with me at the first opportunity, terrified of being dragged into the Fu family's wrath. Dad, Mom, I stood up and looked at them calmly. Are you here to see me, or to act as the Fu family's spokesperson? My father was so furious that he raised his hand to hit me. What kind of attitude is that? I didn't dodge and met his gaze coldly. Jean Monley stood by, stoking the flames. Look at her, in-laws, she's nothing but an ungrateful snake. Arsenian must have been blind to marry her. My mom was so anxious she was in tears, clutching my hand. Wan, listen to your mom. We can't take on the Fu family. Who said I'm going to take them on? I cut her off, my gaze sweeping over everyone present. Fu Xinian is dead, I'm his widow, and everything the Fu family has belongs to me. The one you should be trying to please is me. Everyone froze, Jean Monley included. The operating room light went out. Mrs. Fu, we did everything we could. Please accept our condolences. I nodded, and the corners of my mouth couldn't help but lift. Jean Monley let out a scream, rolled her eyes back, and fainted. Lin Yue was also crying her heart out, and the whole place descended into chaos. I was the only one there, calm and detached like an outsider. I walked up to the doctor and asked softly, is Mr. Fu's heart still there? The doctor froze for a moment, clearly not expecting me to ask that. Yes, according to procedure, donated organs are temporarily kept in the organ bank, waiting for a matching recipient. Good. I let out a sigh of relief. Please take it out, place it in the best container, and hand it over to me. The doctors and nurses all looked at me as if I were crazy. Mrs. Fu, that's not allowed under the rules. I'm the donor's family. I have the right to decide where the organs ultimately go. I took a check out of my bag and handed it to him. This is a small token of my appreciation to your hospital, to thank you for all you've done for my husband. The number on the check made the doctor's eyes light up. He said nothing more, nodded, and turned back into the operating room. My cowardly parents had already been so frightened by the scene that they were at a loss, huddled in the corner and too scared to make a sound. I ignored them and walked straight up to Lin Yue, who was still on the floor howling without tears. Stop crying. Lin Yue looked up and glared at me with hatred. Su Wan, you murderer. Shoo. I put a finger to my lips and spoke in a voice only the two of us could hear. Lin Yue, do you know, before Fu Xinian died, he kept holding my hand. He said the only person he ever loved in his life was me. Lin Yue's pupils suddenly contracted. Impossible, you're lying. The one Xinian loved was me. Is that so? I smiled even more brightly, but on his will, the beneficiary's name was mine. All of the Fu family's assets, including Fu Group shares, are mine now. Tell me, if he really loved you, how could he not leave you a single cent? Lin Yue slumped to the floor. No, that's impossible. This is only the beginning. Lin Yue, Fu Xinian, the pain you inflicted on me in my past life, I will pay it back to you 1,000-fold, 100-fold soon. The doctor came out carrying a silver temperature-controlled case and respectfully handed it to me. Mrs. Fu, the item you asked for. I opened the box. Fu Xinian's heart was inside. I picked it up and walked away. Under Lin Yue's terrified gaze, Fu Xinian's funeral was held on a grand scale. All the big names in a city had shown up. Halfway through the funeral, Lin Yue, dressed entirely in white, stormed in. She looked haggard, her hair in disarray, like some kind of vengeful ghost. Su Wan, give me back Xinian's heart, she screamed as she lunged at me. The guests erupted into an uproar. My bodyguards immediately stepped forward to stop her. I watched coldly as she went mad, and said in a flat voice, Miss Lin, this is Xinian's funeral, please show some respect. Lin Yue laughed wildly, like a madwoman. What right do you have to talk to me about respect when you're a murderer? It was you killed Xinian, you ripped his heart out. Her words hit the crowd like a bomb. My mother-in-law, Jean Monley, also jumped out to cry to everyone, judge for yourselves. It's this poisonous woman, with Xinian barely cold in his grave. She's already scheming to seize the family fortune, and she even stole my son's heart. In an instant, whispers broke out all around. I smiled. This was exactly the effect I wanted. I walked up to Fu Xinian's portrait at the center of the memorial hall and calmly took the silver thermal case out of my bag. Under everyone's stunned gaze, I opened it. Because of special preservation treatment, the heart was still as fresh as if it had just been taken out. Lin Yue and Jean Monley froze on the spot. They hadn't expected me to actually bring the heart to the funeral. I carried the heart over to Lin Yue. Didn't you want it? Now, I'm giving it to you. As I said that, I let go. The incubator hit the floor, and that bright red heart rolled out, covered in dust. and came to rest at Lin Yue's feet. She screamed and stumbled backward, as if she had seen the most terrifying thing imaginable. Ah, terrified, Lin Yue scrambled backward in a panic. What, you don't want it anymore? I looked at her with a cold smile. Didn't you love him enough to die for him, now that his heart is right in front of you? Why are you backing away? Lin Yue went pale, unable to say a word. Zhang Monli came to her senses and rushed over, wanting to pick up the heart on the floor, but she didn't dare touch it. All she could do was point at me and scream, Su Wan, you lunatic, you monster, you'll get what's coming to you. Revenge. I almost laughed at the absurdity of it. I'll be waiting, but before that, let's settle the score for what's coming to you. My gaze swept over everyone present. My voice not loud, yet clear enough for every ear to catch. Fu Xinyan's death was indeed related to me. The moment those words fell, the whole room was thrown into shock. But I'm not the killer. I changed my tone. I'm merely the one who made it happen. I pulled out my phone, opened a video, and cast it onto the huge screen in the funeral hall. In the video was Fu Xinyan. He was seated in an upscale restaurant, with Lin Yue sitting across from him. He was holding Lin Yue's hand tenderly. Wei, wait a little longer for me. Once I deal with that woman, Su Wan, we'll run away together and never let anyone separate us again. Xinyan, then, what about sister Su Wan? You're still husband and wife, after all. Fu Xinyan gave a sneer, his face full of contempt. My wife, she's not fit for that. She's nothing more than a pawn my Fu family uses to keep the business secure. Once I get my hands on the core technology from her family, I'll kick her to the curb. If it weren't for the fake death plan, I wouldn't even want to see that dead-looking face of hers for a single day. The video wasn't long, but it revealed a lot. The entire room fell deathly silent. Everyone stared at the screen in stunned silence, then at me, then at Lin Yue and Zhang Monli, both ashen-faced. See that? I closed the video, my voice cold. He wanted to fake his death, get rid of me, and run off happily with his true love. I simply found out about his plan and went along with it, helping him get what he wanted. As for this heart, I gave the heart on the floor a kick. The heart of a man who would even scheme against his own wife is filthy beyond words. It disgusted me, so I dug it out and gave it to the Miss Lin who deserves it most. Miss Lin, do you still want it now? For after the funeral, I moved with lightning speed to take complete control of the company. I wiped out every last force loyal to Fu Xinyan. In my previous life, before Fu Xinyan died, he transferred all his assets into my name. He made me a temporary guardian of his assets. Once he came back to life, he would return and, as husband and wife, naturally take everything back. He had planned it very well, but unfortunately, he got one thing wrong. That's right, I've been reborn this time around. He wants to take it back. Dream on. I walked up to Zhang Monli and looked down at her from above. Mom, from now on, I'm the new master of the Fu family. Starting today, I call the shots in this house. If you're comfortable here, then just behave yourself and be a proper matriarch. If not, I paused and gave her a warm smile. The Fu family nursing home isn't half bad either. I'd angered Zhang Monli so much she had a stroke on the spot and was hauled off by ambulance. Lin Yue, on the other hand, was so surrounded by reporters she didn't dare step out of her door. After the uproar died down, Lin Yue couldn't stand being out of the spotlight and jumped back in to stir up trouble. Lin Yue stormed into my office, furious. Su Wan, what right do you have to fire me? This position was arranged for me by Xinyan. Beneath her carefully done makeup, the malice in her eyes was even worse than before. I was reading the documents, not even looking up. From now on, I'm the one calling the shots at this company. This is personal revenge. Lin Yue shrieked. You're just jealous that Xinyan loves me. Jealous. I finally looked up at her with a look of utter contempt. Miss Lin, do you have some sort of delusion about yourself? What reason would I have to be jealous of a parasite who can only survive by clinging to men? You. Lin Yue's chest rose and fell violently with anger. I couldn't be bothered to waste any more words on her and pressed the intercom. Assistant Chen, escort Miss Lin out, and notify security that from now on, this person is not to set foot in the company without my permission. Lin Yue was dragged away by 2 security guards, still spewing filthy curses. Su Wan, you'll come to a horrible end. Xinyan will never let you get away with this. Would Xinyan let this slide? I laughed. I was waiting for him to come. What I feared was that he wouldn't dare to come. Day by day, the company gradually got back on track under my control. Using the memories from my past life, I precisely invested in several projects that were about to take off, and the company's stock price kept surging. The old board members who used to look down on me now have to address me respectfully as Chairwoman Su whenever they see me. My parents have also come looking for me several times. doing a complete 180 and bending over backward to curry favor with me. Between the lines, all they want is for me to give their little family company a helping hand. I gave them a project, not too big, not too small, enough to keep them comfortable for life, and enough to keep them quiet. As for Jean Monley, ever since her stroke, she has been lying in the hospital, paralyzed on one side and barely able to speak. I assigned the best caregiver to look after her, making sure she was well fed and well taken care of. I wanted her to stay alive and fully aware, to watch with her own eyes as I took everything her son had and made it mine. Everything seemed to be moving in the direction I had envisioned until that day, when I received an anonymous delivery. Inside the box was a dead black cat. Hanging around the cat's neck was a card, with a line written on it in red ink: Suwon, get back what doesn't belong to you. It was Fu Xinyan's handwriting. 5. I stared at those words, my heart pounding wildly out of control. In the end, he just couldn't help himself. I threw the dead cat and the card into the trash can, my face showing no emotion at all. But inside, a raging storm had been set off. The game of revenge has only just begun. I need an accomplice, someone smart enough, strong enough, to help me go up against Fu Xinyan. I made a phone call. Hello, is this lawyer Shen? This is Suwon. I have a case I'd like to ask you to take on. From the other end of the line came a low, mesmerizing male voice. Mr. Su, I've long admired your name, let's hear it. The man was named Xinyan. He was a city's top commercial lawyer, notorious for his ruthless tactics and an unbroken winning streak. In my previous life, he was a legend I could never hope to reach. In this life, he would be the sharpest blade in my hand. Xinyan and I arranged to meet at a private members club. He was more handsome than he looked in the photo, wearing a sharply tailored suit. Behind his gold-rimmed glasses were a pair of eyes, deep, keen, and seemingly able to see through everything. Chairman Su, what can I do for you? He asked bluntly. I slid the photo of the dead cat and that card over to him. I suspect my dead husband may still be alive. Xinyan picked up the photo and looked at it, then took the card and examined it carefully against the light. His expression didn't change at all. Handwriting can be forged, and a dead cat doesn't prove anything. He set the card down and looked at me. Mr. Su, what do you want me to do? I want you to find him. I looked him straight in the eye. I want him alive if possible, dead if not. A playful smile tugged at Xinyan's lips. This case is interesting, but I charge a lot. Money is not an issue. Good. Xinyan stood up and held out his hand to me. Pleasure doing business with you. I took his hand. His palm was warm and strong, happy to work together. With Xinyan on board, I felt like a tiger with wings. He quickly analyzed Fu Xinyan's recent mental state from his handwriting: anxious, irritable, and extremely self-assured. He thinks everything is under control. Sending you a dead cat was just meant to scare you and throw you off balance. Xinyan analyzed. What we need to do now is turn the tables on him. In the days that followed, I began going out with Xinyan more and more often. We attended business dinners together, played golf together, and were even photographed by paparazzi having dinner together. The headlines in City A were soon taken over by news of the Su Group's female CEO falling for a top lawyer. I knew Fu Xinyan would definitely see it. A man with an extremely possessive nature would never tolerate his wife, even if only in name, moving on so soon after he was dead. What's more, that new flame was so outstanding. Sure enough, the second gift arrived soon after. This time, it was a photo. In the photo, I was in the underground parking garage, getting ready to get into my car, and on the roof of my car, a flower pot was teetering dangerously, ready to fall at any moment. On the back of the photo, it was still Fu Xinyan's handwriting: anyone who betrays me must die. I handed the photo to Xinyan. He looked at the photo, his brow faintly furrowed. He's starting to lose patience. That's exactly what I want, I sneered. A hunter who's losing patience is the easiest one to fall into a trap. Xinyan looked at me, a hint of curiosity in his eyes. Mr. Su, you seem not afraid at all. Afraid, I shot back. I've died once already. What do I have left to fear? A flicker of surprise crossed Xinyan's eyes, but he didn't press further. He was a smart man. He knew what to ask and what not to ask. 6. Since he was able to take this photo, it means he's either right next to you, or he's bribed someone around you. Xinyan quickly regained his composure and analyzed the situation calmly. We need to check everyone around you who might be suspicious. The first person that came to mind was my driver, Old Wang. Old Wang had been with the Fu family for years, working for Fu Xinyan for a long time. After Fu Xinyan died, he took the initiative to stay on and keep driving for me. Back then, I thought he was loyal. Looking at it now, He probably had an ulterior motive. I had Xin Yan look into it, and sure enough, a transfer of 500,000 had recently appeared out of nowhere in old Wang's account. The money came from an anonymous overseas account. We found him. What are you planning to do next, Xin Yan asked me. Set up a meeting with him. A cold glint flashed in my eyes. I want him to tell me himself where Fu Xinian is. That night, I said I wasn't feeling well and asked old Wang to drive me back to the old house. Halfway there, I suddenly told him to stop. Uncle Wang, I'm a little thirsty. Could you go buy me a bottle of water? Old Wang didn't suspect a thing. He pulled over and went into a convenience store by the roadside. The moment he left, Xin Yan came with two others, quickly opened the car door, and got in. A few minutes later, old Wang came back with the water. The moment he opened the car door, he met several pairs of icy eyes. His expression changed dramatically, and he turned to run, but it was already too late. Two bodyguards pinned him firmly to the seat. Xin Yan was sitting in the passenger seat. He turned around and gave him a friendly smile. Master Wang, our boss wants to have a word with you. Old Wang was taken to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. He was tied to a chair, trembling all over with fear. Su, President Su, what are you doing? What did I do wrong? I sat across from him, sipping my tea slowly and unhurriedly. Uncle Wang, how many years have you been with the Fu family? Tea, 20 years, 20 years. I set down my teacup and sighed. Is 20 years of friendship only worth 500,000? Old Wang's face went pale. He knew the secret was out. I don't know what you're talking about. He still insisted stubbornly. Xin Yan stepped forward and flung a stack of photos into his face. The photos clearly showed him meeting Fu Xinian at a cafe. Now do you know what we're talking about? Xin Yan's voice was icy. Old Wang completely broke down, crying and begging for mercy. Mr. Su, I was wrong. I lost my head for a moment. It was him, the master, who forced me. He said if I didn't help him, he'd make my whole family pay. Where's Fu Xinian? I didn't want to listen to his nonsense, and got straight to the point. I don't know. Old Wang's eyes darted away. Every time we met, he contacted me first, and he always picked the place. I really don't know where he lives. Xin Yan shot me a look. I knew old Wang wasn't lying. Someone as cautious as Fu Xinian would never let a pawn know where he was hiding. When was the last time you saw him, and where? It was yesterday, at Blue Mountain Cafe in the west of the city. West of the city. I had a pretty good idea. All right, I'm done with my questions. I stood up. Lawyer Shen, I'll leave the rest to you. I turned and left the warehouse, with old Wang's shrill screams echoing behind me. I didn't look back. Traitors don't deserve pity. 7. Back in the car, Xin Yan handed me a cup of hot coffee. We found him. Fu Xinian is using a fake identity and renting an apartment in an upscale complex on the west side of the city called Jing'an. Good. I took a sip of coffee, feeling the warmth spread through my body. It's time to pay him a visit. Do you want me to stay with you? I shook my head. No, this is between him and me. I want to settle it myself. Xin Yan looked at me, his expression complicated. Su Wan, be careful. It was the first time he had ever called me by my name. I froze for a moment, then smiled at him. Don't worry, I wouldn't do anything I'm not sure about. Jing'an. I followed the address Xin Yan gave me and found Fu Xinian's apartment, 18th floor, building A. I stood at the door, took a deep breath, and pressed the doorbell. Soon, the door opened. Fu Xinian appeared at the doorway. He was wearing casual loungewear, his hair slightly tousled, a faint stubble shadowing his jaw. He looked a little haggard, but that face was still heartbreakingly handsome. The moment he saw me, he froze. A flicker of panic crossed his eyes, but he quickly composed himself. He even gave me that familiar, gentle smile. Wan, what are you doing here? His tone made it sound as if we were still that loving married couple, as if none of what had happened before had ever taken place. If I hadn't already lived through the agony of dying miserably in my previous life, I might have fallen for his hypocritical tenderness all over again. What? Aren't you going to invite me in for a seat? I leaned against the doorframe, smiling at him. Fu Xinian stepped aside and let me in. The apartment was spacious and tastefully decorated. It was clear he'd been living well here. Wan, let me explain. He closed the door and hurriedly tried to say something. I cut him off. Explain what? Explain why you faked your death to deceive me, or explain why you sent me a dead cat and tried to have someone kill me. Fu Xinian's face stiffened. I didn't want to kill you. I just wanted you to give the company back to me, he argued. Wan, it was mine to begin with. You can't just take it away. Take it. I laughed as if I'd heard the joke of the century. Fu Xinian read it carefully. On your will, in black and white, it says that all your assets go to me. Su Wan, and me alone, right now. I'm taking back what belongs to me. It was fake. I only had you sign it to fool you, Fu Xinian said, getting agitated as he stepped toward me. Wan, we're husband and wife. What's mine is yours. We don't have to keep anything from each other, right? He reached out to grab my hand. I stepped back and dodged him. Don't touch me. You disgust me. My words cut like a knife, driving straight into his heart. Fu Xinian's face instantly darkened. The tenderness and the mask in his eyes finally fell away, replaced by a cold, ruthless glare. Su-wan, don't be so ungrateful. He fixed me with a frosty stare. I can put you in that seat, and I can just as easily knock you right back down. Is that so? I met his gaze without fear. I'll be waiting. The two of us stood there facing off in the living room, the air thick with tension. Just then, the bedroom door suddenly opened. Lin Yue came out, wearing an ill-fitting men's shirt, rubbing her sleepy eyes. Xinian, who is it? Why is it so loud? The moment she saw me, she froze completely. Su-wan. The air seemed to freeze at that very moment. The drowsiness on Lin Yue's face vanished in an instant, replaced by panic and fluster. She instinctively tightened her grip on the shirt she was wearing. I recognized it. It was one of Fu Xinian's favorites. How ironic. Looks like I came at the wrong time and interrupted your little moment. I broke the silence, the smile at the corners of my lips deepening. Fu Xinian's face had gone as dark as it could possibly get. He probably never expected me to catch him in such an unsightly scene. He shoved Lin Yue back into the bedroom, then slammed the door shut with a bang. Wan, listen to me. I and she, no need to explain. I cut him off again. I have absolutely no interest in what kind of relationship you two have. I'm here today just to tell you one thing. I took a document out of my bag and tossed it onto the coffee table in front of him. What is this? Fu Xinian looked at me warily. See for yourself. Fu Xinian picked up the document, and just one glance was enough to make his pupils contract sharply. It was a lawsuit. Plaintiff, Su-wan. Defendant, Fu Xinian. Grounds for the lawsuit: deliberate fraud, transfer of marital assets, and attempted murder. You. Fu Xinian snapped his head up, a terrifying fury bursting in his eyes. Su-wan, how dare you sue me? Why wouldn't I dare? I sat down on the sofa at my leisure and poured myself a glass of water. Every single thing you've done is enough to put you behind bars for 10 years, maybe 8 at the very least. You have no evidence, Fu Xinian shouted, all bluster and no backbone. Is that so? I pulled out my phone and played a recording. In the recording, it was old Wang's voice, clearly laying out how Fu Xinian had ordered him to keep me under surveillance, and even tried to stage an accident to kill me. Fu Xinian's face went completely pale. Why you set me up? We're one and the same. I put down my phone, picked up my glass, and gently blew on the water. When you were scheming against me, you should have known this day would come. Fu Xinian stared at me intently, his eyes as if they wanted to tear me apart and swallow me whole. He probably could never figure out how the woman who once obeyed him without question, loving him until she lost herself, had turned into who I was now. Su-wan, what exactly do you want? He finally gave in, his voice carrying a hint of weariness and defeat. Simple. I looked at him and said each word clearly. Spit back everything you had no right to take, then disappear from my world for good. Impossible. Fu Xinian it without a second thought. The company is my life's work. I'm not giving it to you. Then we'll meet in court. I stood up and was ready to leave. Stop right there. Fu Nian suddenly rushed over and grabbed me from behind, holding on tightly. Wan, don't do this to me. I was wrong. I really was. His voice carried a hint of trembling and pleading. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have lied to you. Shouldn't have been with Lin Yue. Please forgive me. Okay, let's start over. I felt warm droplets fall onto the nape of my neck. He was crying. The smug, untouchable Fu Xinian was crying. If it had been me in my past life, seeing him like this, I would have softened, and I would have thrown myself back into his arms without hesitation. But now, all I felt was disgust. I forced his fingers open one by one, then I turned around and slapped him hard across the face. Fu Xinian, save your cheap tears. You and I have been over for a long time. I shook off Fu Xinian and left the apartment without looking back. After walking out of the complex, I saw Shenyan's car parked by the side of the road. Leaning against the car door, he was quietly smoking. When he saw me come out, he immediately crushed out the cigarette and walked over to me. Are you okay? He asked, a hint of concern in his eyes. I nodded and got into the car. Shen Yan said nothing more and started the car. The car was quiet, with only the soft whisper of the air conditioning, but my heart remained restless for a long time. 9. Fu Sinian didn't just sit there and wait, he quickly mounted a counterattack. He used the connections he still had left to spread a flood of rumors about me online. He said I was ruthless, a husband killer, and that I'd stopped at nothing to force my own husband to his death just to seize the family fortune. He even posted everywhere the photo I had taken out at the funeral of Fu Xinyan's heart. In no time, I became the vicious witch that the entire internet was denouncing. The company's stock price was affected as well and started to fall. The board of directors began to stir again under immense pressure. I held a press conference facing countless flashing cameras and pointed questions. I didn't back down for a second. I laid out every piece of evidence exposing Fu Xinyan's fake death, cheating, and attempt to murder me, including the recording from the apartment, where he admitted it himself. Public opinion flipped instantly. Fu Xinian went from being seen as a victim to the man of the century everyone was calling out. Lin Yue was thrust into the spotlight again and torn apart so badly by criticism that she didn't even dare step outside. Fu Xinian had completely become a pariah. The apartment where he was hiding was surrounded by reporters, and he could only keep dodging from place to place. In utter disgrace, I had all the bank cards under his name frozen. A once high and mighty favorite of heaven had now been left penniless, abandoned by everyone. I knew he was about to reach his breaking point. Sure enough, a few days later, he reached out to me on the phone. His voice was hoarse and exhausted. Suwan, you win, I give in, let's talk. We arranged to meet in a private room at a cafe a few days apart, and Fu Xinian looked like he'd aged 10 years. He was wearing cheap clothes, his beard was untrimmed, and his eyes were sunken. There was none of his old swagger left. Say it, what are your terms? He got straight to the point, as if he couldn't be bothered with any unnecessary small talk. It's simple. I slid the agreement I'd prepared long ago over to him. Sign it. It was a divorce agreement. The agreement stated that Fu Xinian would voluntarily give up all his assets and leave with nothing, and never set foot in City A again. Fu Xinian looked at the agreement and gave a bitter, self-mocking laugh. Suwan, you really are ruthless. Not as ruthless as you, I replied coolly. He stayed silent for a long time, and in the end, he still picked up the pen. The moment he signed his name, the knot in my chest finally eased completely. Whatever grievances and tangled history existed between him and me end here. Can I go now? He put down his pen and stood up. Wait, I called out to him. He turned back and looked at me, puzzled. I took the insulated container I had been keeping in the freezer all this time out of my bag. I opened it and set his heart on the table. Here, I'm giving it back to you. Fu Xinian stared at the heart, his body jolting violently, his eyes filled with a tangle of emotions: shock, fear, and a trace of sadness I couldn't make sense of. You've been keeping it all this time. Yeah, I smiled. I was afraid that one day, if you ever lost your mind and couldn't think straight, you'd have nowhere to go to get your heart back. I stood up and looked down at him. Fu Xinian, from this moment on, we owe each other nothing. Take your heart and get the hell out of my world. When I finished, I turned and walked away without a hint of hesitation. I thought it was all over, but I never expected Fu Xinian to choose such a way to say goodbye for the last time. Not long after I left the cafe, I got a call from Xinyan. His voice was heavier than I had ever heard it before. Suwan, something's happened. Fu Xinian, he killed himself. By the time I arrived, the cafe was already cordoned off with police tape. Fu Xinian was lying in a pool of blood, with a fruit knife lodged in his chest. The knife had gone straight into his heart. Scattered beside him was the divorce agreement I had just made him sign. It was soaked with his blood. I stared at that cold, lifeless body, my mind completely blank. How could he have killed himself? He was so arrogant, so afraid of death. How could he possibly have taken his own life? The police found a suicide note left behind by Fu Xinian at the scene. The suicide note contained just one line: Wan, I gave you my heart long ago. Without a heart, I can't live. 10. Everyone thought Fu Xinian had been overwhelmed by matters of the heart and, unable to bear the blow, chose to end his own life. The media sensationalized it even further, painting him as a repentant romantic drifter, while I became the villain who drove him to his death. The company's stock price plunged again. A few days later, Xinyan came to see me. Suwan, Fu Xinian's death is suspicious. The report shows that a rare neurotoxin was detected in Fu Xinian's body. This toxin can cause hallucinations and make a person lose control of their emotions, eventually leading to death from heart failure. He didn't commit suicide. He was murdered. Who is it? I grabbed Xinyan's arm and asked anxiously. It's not clear yet. Xinyan steadied me. But the one who poisoned him was definitely someone closest to him. Lin Yue. Before Fu Xinian died, he Had been living with her all along. She had plenty of opportunity and motive. Fu Xinian abandoned her, leaving her disgraced and with nothing left. It was perfectly understandable that she hated him. It's her. It has to be her. I shot to my feet in excitement. I'm going to call the police. Don't be impulsive. Xinyan held me back. We don't have any evidence. Going to the police now will only alert the enemy. Then what do we do? Are we just supposed to let her get away with it? Of course not. A glint of coldness flashed in Xinyan's eyes. I'll make her expose herself. Xinyan's plan was very simple. He anonymously fed the media a tip. Before Fu Xinian died, he had secretly taken out a huge personal accident insurance policy, and the beneficiary was Lin Yue. That news was fake, but it was enough to throw Lin Yue into complete disarray. A woman who had just lost her beloved and should have been lost in grief, if she were so eager to claim an insurance payout that didn't even exist, then her guilt would be plain to see. As expected, the day after the tip was released, Lin Yue contacted the insurance company. After learning that there was no such policy at all, she lost control of her emotions and made a scene over the phone, and her call with the insurance company was recorded in full by Xinyan. In the recording, she accidentally let something slip. Impossible. He promised me himself, as long as he dies, I'll be a billionaire. Those words became the most damning evidence against her. The police soon came knocking. Faced with the hard evidence, Lin Yue's mental defenses completely collapsed. She confessed it was her. She had been slipping that neurotoxin into Fu Xinyan's daily meals. Little by little, she hated Fu Xinyan, hated him for destroying everything she had. She wanted revenge on him, and she wanted his money too. She thought she'd covered her tracks perfectly, but in the end, she still fell into Xinyan's hands. Lin Yue was sentenced to life imprisonment. Fu Xinyan's case had finally come to a close. I was cleared of all suspicion, and the company's operations were back on track. It all seemed to be over. I got rid of everything Fu Xinian had left behind, including the villa where we once lived together. I just wanted to make a clean break with the past. After all that, I felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted, and I felt completely at ease. I threw myself back into work, leading the Su Group to create one business miracle after another. I had become a renowned queen of the business world in City A, and even across the country. My life had taken on new friends and a new rhythm. Xinyan had also stayed by my side all along. He was no longer my lawyer, but my most capable partner and the friend I trusted most. Between us, there was an unspoken understanding that was hard to put into words. Neither of them dared to break the unspoken barrier. Maybe the time just wasn't right yet. End of story. That's it for the first story. Don't go away, the next one gets even more exciting. My name is Shen Wanwan, the fiancé chosen by the Hua family, the notorious villainess of the story. Just yesterday, I was secretly delighted by a single glance from Hua Jingshen, and today someone splashed red wine all over my face and called me a shameless, vicious woman. Shen Wanwan, how could you do this to Ro Ro? Hua Jingshen's voice was as cold as ice. She only bumped into you by accident. Why did you push her down the stairs? I stared blankly at Su Ruru, who was lying on the floor crying, then at my own hands stained with blood. Memories came rushing back like a tide, and I finally understood my situation. I'd been transported into a novel. I'd ended up in a wealthy family tragic romance novel as the villainous supporting female lead everyone hated. Su Ruru was the beloved first love of the male and female leads, while I was nothing more than cannon fodder standing in the way of their love. According to the plot, I would be driven out by the Hua family because of what happened today, and then Su Ruru would seize the opportunity, becoming the young mistress of the Hua family. As for me, I would be destroyed through all kinds of revenge. Wanwan, what's wrong? Seeing that I suddenly went silent, Hua Jingshen frowned. I took a deep breath and said slowly, I didn't push her. What? I said, I didn't push Su Ruru. My voice was calm. She fell on her own. Hua Jingshen's expression changed, still trying to deny it. The surveillance footage caught everything. Then call the police. With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me came Su Ruru's sniffles. Brother Jingshen, Sister Wanwan must just be too upset. I don't blame her. Ha, that's such classic green tea behavior. The old Shen Wanwan would have gone crazy over that line. She'd have stormed over and torn Su Ruru's mouth apart. But I wouldn't. I'm going to lie flat and take it easy. What's so bad about being a salted fish? No scheming every day. No turning yourself into something barely human over a man. When I got back to the Shen family home, my parents were waiting for me in the living room. Wanwan, Uncle Hua already called. Mrs. Shen sighed. How could you lay a hand on Su Ruru? I didn't lay a hand on her. Then how did she end up falling down the stairs? Father Shen slammed the table. You've been willful since you were a child. and now you don't even have the most basic manners /. I looked at them quietly, my heart completely unmoved. The original owner's parents favored sons over daughters. They doted on her younger brother, Shinwei, while always finding fault with and criticizing their daughter. No matter how hard the original owner tried, in their eyes she could never compare to their precious son. I'm tired, I need to rest. I turned and went upstairs. Stop right there. Father Shin said angrily. We're not done talking. What's there to say? I looked back at him. In your eyes, I'm always the one in the wrong. Mrs. Shin froze. Wan, how can you say that? Am I wrong? I laughed. All these years, when have you ever truly cared about me? The moment something happens, you don't ask if I'm okay, you blame me for causing trouble for the family. After that, I went upstairs without looking back. In my room, I sat at the vanity, looking at myself in the mirror. At 22, Shin Wanwan had delicate features and a slim figure. The picture of a proper young lady from a wealthy family, but in those eyes, there was nothing but hurt and resentment. From today on, you are me, I said to the mirror. I'll live well, for no one else. My phone rang. It was a call from Hu Jingshan. Shin Wanwan, come to the Hu family tomorrow, we need to talk about the engagement. I hung up right away. A few seconds later, he called again, and I hung up once more. The third time, he texted me. Don't think you can use this to dodge responsibility, I replied. I'm not trying to avoid you, I just don't want to talk to you. There was a long silence on the other end before he finally said, tomorrow at 3 p.m., wait for us at the Hu family home. Looking at the text message, I suddenly found it ridiculous. In the past, Shin Wanwan had been so humble, just a single sentence from Hu Jingshan could make her happy for an entire day, and one glance from him could keep her awake all night. But what was the point of any of that? He only had Sururu in his heart, and I was nothing more than a dispensable fiancé. If that's the case, then why should I keep playing the lead in this one-woman show? I opened my computer and started planning my new life. First, I'd break off my engagement to Hu Jingshan. Second, I'd leave the Shin family and start living independently. Finally, I'd sit back and watch the male and female leads love and hate each other, while I eat the popcorn and enjoy the show from the sidelines. Perfect. Chapter 2. The next afternoon, I showed up at the Hu family home right on time. Old Master Hu sat in the seat of honor. Hu Jingshan was on his right, and Sururu sat obediently on the other side of the sofa, her arm still wrapped in a bandage. They made it look like I was the culprit. Here comes Wanwan, Old Master Hu said. What do you have to say about what happened yesterday? I sat down across from Hu Jingshan. There's nothing to explain, I didn't push her. The surveillance. Hu Jingshan was about to say something. Did the surveillance catch me pushing her? I cut him off, or did it only catch the moment she fell? Hu Jingshan fell silent. Brother Jingshan, forget it, Sururu said softly. Maybe I was just careless. Sister Wanwan wouldn't intentionally hurt me. The way she said it made it sound like I really had pushed her. I heard, I said, looking at Sururu, that you wore 8-centimeter heels yesterday. Sururu nodded. Yes, the stairs had just been waxed. You were wearing high heels and walking fast. Of course you'd fall. Right, but, and according to what you said, when I pushed you, why didn't you fall forward? Instead, you tipped backward. I went on. Does that even make sense under the laws of physics? Sururu's face went pale. Hu Jingshan frowned. Are you saying Ruru deliberately framed you? I'm just analyzing the facts. I shrugged. Of course, who you choose to believe is entirely up to you. Shin Wanwan. Hu Jingshan snapped angrily. How could you be so vicious? Vicious, I laughed. Hu Jingshan, from our engagement until now, 3 years. When have you ever really understood me? In your eyes, I'm just a spoiled rich girl who throws tantrums and can do nothing but bully Sururu, right? Hu Jingshan froze. Since you hate me so much and trust me so little, then what is there left for us to talk about? I stood up. Grandpa Hu, I'm here to say that I'm willing to take the initiative to call off my engagement to Hu Jingshan. What? Old Master Hu was stunned. Hu Jingshan looked utterly disbelieving. What did you say? I said I want to end our engagement, I repeated, my tone calm. We're not right for each other. You can't force a relationship. Wanwan. Sururu seemed about to say something. Miss Su, there's no need to keep up the act. I looked at her. Isn't this exactly what you wanted? Now that you've got your wish, are you happy? Sururu's eyes were red-rimmed. I didn't. Whether you did or not, you know the answer in your heart. I turned to Old Master Hu. Grandpa, I know you've always been very good to me, but you can't force matters of the heart. Rather than make everyone miserable, it's better to part on good terms. Old Master Hu let out a sigh. Wanwan, Are you sure you want to do this? Yes. Then the Hua family will give the Shin family a fair compensation. No need, I waved it off. Our family isn't short on money, and I brought this up myself, so no compensation is necessary. Hu Jingshan suddenly stood up. Shin Wanwan, are you trying to threaten me? This way, I looked at him, a wave of sadness rising in my heart. What was so great about the man the original owner had loved for 3 years? Threaten me. I laughed. Hu Jingshan, you really think too highly of yourself. I just don't want to waste any more time and energy on someone who isn't worth it. After saying that, I picked up my bag and was about to leave. Wait, Hu Jingshan caught up to me. Are you really going to break off our engagement? Why, can't bear to. I turned back to look at him. Hu Jingshan looked conflicted. We've known each other since we were kids. So what if we've known each other since we were kids? I cut him off. You've never really seen me for who I am. In your eyes, I'm just an annoying fiancé. Now that I'm choosing to step away, you should be thanking me. I never thought of you that way, really. I let out a cold laugh. Then tell me. Aside from knowing my name is Shin Wanwan and that I'm your fiancé, what else do you know about me? Hu Jingshan opened his mouth, but no words came out. What's my favorite color? What food do I hate most? What hobbies do I have? What am I afraid of? I fired off a string of questions. Do you know? Hu Jingshan said nothing. You don't know, because you've never cared. I turned around. What's the point of a marriage engagement like this? When I reached the door, I looked back and said one last thing. Hu Jingshan, I wish you and Su Ruru happiness. Then I left the Hua family without looking back. From behind me came Su Ruru's voice. Brother Jingshan, is Sister Wanyan very sad? Did I do something wrong? Ruru, you did nothing wrong. Hu Jingshan comforted her. I laughed. That's right. Now you two can be together openly and without a care in the world. And as for me, I'm finally free. Chapter 3. When I got back to the Shin family home, my parents were discussing something with my younger brother, Shin Wei. As soon as they saw me come in, the three of them stopped talking at once. Wanwan, you're back, Mrs. Shin forced a smile. How did things go with the Hua family? I've called off my engagement to Hu Jingshan, I said flatly. What? Father Shin shot to his feet. Have you lost your mind? I'm not crazy. I'm very clear-headed. Do you have any idea how important this engagement with the Hua family is to our Shin family? Father Shin snapped. The company is at a critical stage right now, and we need the Hua family's support. Then let Shin Wei marry Hu Jingshan, I said, sitting on the sofa. After all, in your eyes, he's worth a lot more than I am. What nonsense are you talking? Mother Shin scolded. Wei Wei is still young, too young. I looked at Shin Wei, who was busy on his phone. Too young at 20. What was I doing when I was 20? Shin Wei looked up and said irritably, Sis, can you stop taking it out on me? You're the one who botched things with the Hua family. Don't drag me into this. Botched it? I laughed. How did I botch it? Didn't you push Su Ruru down the stairs yesterday? Of course Hu Jingshan would be angry. I didn't push her. Then how did she fall? Shin Wei didn't believe me. Sis, you've been domineering since you were little. This time must be the same. Shin Wei, I cut him off. You think I'm really that domineering, aren't you? Growing up, you always used the fact that you were the older sister to snatch up every good thing. Whatever I wanted, you'd fight me for it. Is that so? I stood up. Then let me ask you, what did you want for your 16th birthday? Shin Wei froze. A limited edition pair of basketball shoes. And then you wanted those too, and Mom and Dad bought them for you. Wrong. I shook my head. What I wanted was horseback riding lessons. But Mom and Dad said we could only afford one expensive gift, so they made us choose. You wanted sneakers. So I said I wanted sneakers too. Then they bought them for you. And I got nothing. Shin Wei froze. And for your 18th birthday, you wanted to travel to Europe. Well, I wanted to learn the piano. In the end, you went to Europe, and I stayed home reading. I don't remember. Shin Wei muttered. Of course you don't. You only ever remember what you want. I looked at this spoiled younger brother. In your mind, I took a lot of things from you. But in reality, I never got anything at all. Shin's father and mother looked at each other in silence. Wanwan, are you accusing us of playing favorites? Mrs. Shin asked. Playing favorites? I turned to look at her. Mom, this isn't favoritism. It's complete neglect. You never really cared about what I wanted, what I needed. You're the older sister. You should let your younger brother have his way. Why should I? I shot back. Because I'm a girl. Because I was born 2 years earlier. The living room fell silent. I've made up my mind, I said, picking up my bag. I'm moving out. Where are you going? Mrs. Shin panicked. Where could a girl like you even go? I bought an apartment downtown, and I'm moving there tomorrow. Where did you get the money to buy a house, Mr. Shin asked skeptically. My trust fund, plus the money I've saved over the years from New Year's gifts and birthday presents, I said calmly. The inheritance Grandpa left me is none of your business, Mr. Shin opened his mouth, but in the end, said nothing. The Shin family patriarch did, in fact, leave me a sum of money specifically for my education and independent living. /1. You can't just be this stubborn Mrs. Shin still tried to persuade her. Stubborn I laughed. I'm 22. I have a job and an income. Why can't I live on my own? Or do you want me to be trapped in this family for the rest of my life, playing the obedient daughter you want me to be? That's not what we meant. Whether you meant it or not, you know that best yourselves. I looked around the home I'd lived in for more than 20 years. Starting tomorrow, this won't be my home anymore. Shin Wei suddenly spoke up. Sis, do you think none of us love you? I looked at him, my younger brother, who had been pampered in our parents' hands since childhood, as he asked such a question for the first time. Does it matter whether they love me or not? I shot back. All I know is, I've never once felt valued in this family. But, no buts. I waved a hand. Shin Wei, grow up properly. Don't be so headstrong and childish like you used to be. Mom and Dad won't keep spoiling you forever. After that, I went upstairs to pack my things. Behind me, I heard Madam Shin sobbing, Mr. Shin trying to comfort her, and Shin Wei asking, is big sister really going to leave us? I stopped in my tracks, a bitter ache surging through my heart. The original Shin Wanwan longed for this kind of care, but it was too late. I was no longer the humble, people-pleasing Shin Wanwan in the room. I packed the important things into my suitcase: photos, documents, and a few keepsakes with sentimental value. I came across a photo of me with Wu Jingshan. We were still kids back then. He wasn't much taller than I was. I was smiling happily, but he looked completely blank. I tore up the photo and threw the pieces into the trash. The old Shin Wanwan is gone. The person I am now is starting a new life. Chapter 4. On the first day after moving into my new apartment, I slept in until I woke naturally. This was a fully furnished studio apartment. It wasn't big, but it had great natural light and a simple, cozy design. Most importantly, it belonged to me alone. No parents criticizing me, no younger brother complaining, no fiancé treating me with cold indifference. I made a generous breakfast and sat on the balcony, eating while enjoying the view. Downstairs is a bustling commercial street, with crowds coming and going full of energy. This is the life I want, free and unrestrained, without having to answer to anyone. My phone rang. It was Mrs. Shin Wanwan. Are you really not coming back? Her voice was a little choked up. No, I'm not coming back. I was certain, but you're out there on your own, and we can't help worrying. Mom, I'm already 22, I have a job and I'm capable of taking care of myself. Why can't I live independently? That's different. You're a girl. I hung up right away. What's wrong with being a girl? Why can't girls be independent? Why do we have to rely on family and men? I don't accept that outdated mindset. In the afternoon, I went to the company. I'm a creative director at an advertising agency, and I earned this job on my own merit. It has nothing to do with the Shin family. Wanwan, you look like you're in great shape, my colleague Xiao Zhang said. I heard yesterday that your engagement to the Hua family, it's over, I admitted calmly. I was the one who called it off. What? Why? Hua Jingshan is so outstanding. There are plenty of outstanding people. If it's not right, it's not right. I straightened the documents on my desk. You can't force love. Xiao Zhang was about to say something else when my assistant Xiao Li walked over. Director Shen, there's an urgent project that needs you to take a look at. I took the file. It was a promotional proposal for a high-end jewelry brand. When do they need it? Tomorrow afternoon. The timeline is a bit tight, but it's doable. I quickly skimmed the requirements, had the design team come in for a meeting. Once I threw myself into work, I felt that long-lost sense of fulfillment again. I used to be distracted all the time by matters involving Wu Jingshan, but now that those worries were gone, my work efficiency had improved noticeably. The meeting went very smoothly. I floated a few creative directions, and the team quickly landed on the best one. Director Shen, you're in especially great form today. Xiao Wang, the designer, said, this concept is definitely going to win the client over. Thanks, I said with a smile. You've all worked hard. Dinner's on me tonight. My colleagues cheered. I rarely used to have meals with my coworkers, because I had to go home and keep my parents company, or wait for a call from Wu Jingshan. Now I was free, and I could do whatever I wanted. The dinner that evening was very pleasant. We talked about work, life, and our plans for the future. Wanwan, now that you're single, Have you thought about starting over? Xiao Zhang asked nosily. Not right now. I took a sip of wine. I want to focus on my work and better myself. True, a woman should still have her own career. By the time I got back to the apartment, it was already 10 at night. I took a hot shower and lay on the sofa reading. This is my favorite way to unwind. It lets me relax completely. My phone rang again. This time it was Hu Jingshan. I glanced at it and hung up right away. He called 3 times in a row, and I didn't answer any of them. In the end, he texted, Shen Wan. What do you mean by that? I replied, nothing. I just don't want to talk to you. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. The engagement has already been called off. You think you can just run away like this? Run away? Run away from what? I blocked him right away. From today on, Hu Jingshan and I have nothing to do with each other. Before going to bed that night, I stood on the balcony and looked out at the night view. Neon lights flickered, traffic flowed like a river, and this city was full of endless possibilities. In the past, all I cared about was becoming the perfect fiancé in Hu Jingshan's eyes. Now, I just want to become a better version of myself. Shen Wan, your new life begins now, I said to the night sky. Chapter 5. Early the next morning, I was awakened by a knock at the door. When I looked through the peephole and saw it was Hu Jingshan, I frowned, but still opened the door. How did you find out where I live? The Shen family told me. He walked straight in. We need to talk. I remember blocking you. I shut the door. And we really have nothing left to talk about. Hu Jingshan looked around. The apartment wasn't big, but it was tastefully decorated and cozy, filled with a lived-in warmth. You're living here. What's wrong with that? I poured myself a glass of water and didn't pour him one. It's too small. And this location, Hu Jingshan, what right do you have to judge my choices? I cut him off. Where I live has nothing to do with you. He was silent for a moment. Wan. I think there's been a misunderstanding between us. A misunderstanding. I laughed. What misunderstanding? What you said yesterday, about me not understanding you, that wasn't a misunderstanding, that was the truth. I sat down on the sofa. Hu Jingshan, now you suddenly want to understand me. He seemed to want to say something, but didn't know where to begin. Forget it, I waved him off. There's no point anymore. Our engagement is over, so you can go after your Su Ruru. It's not what you think between Ruru and me. Whatever it is, I don't care. I stood up. You can leave now. I'm going to work. Shen Wan. Hu Jingshan suddenly grabbed my wrist. Why are you being so heartless? Heartless? I looked at his hand, where our engagement ring used to be. It had already been taken off. Hu Jingshan, what do you call heartlessness? I wrenched my hand from his grasp. For 3 years, every time Su Run showed up, you would leave me behind to take care of her. What do you call that? Because she's your white moonlight, the one you truly love. I finished for him. I know. I've always known. Hu Jingshan froze. I also know that in your heart, I'm nothing but an obnoxious fiancé, an obstacle standing in the way of your love. I went on. Well, now the obstacle is gone. You can be together openly at last. That's not it. Only you know whether that's true. I picked up my bag and headed for the door. Hu Jingshan, we're both adults. Don't say those hypocritical things. You love Sururu. I know it, and everyone else knows it too. Reaching the door, I turned back to look at him. If you love her, then treat her well. Don't come bothering my life anymore. With that, I left, leaving Hu Jingshan standing alone in the living room. When I got to the company, I threw myself completely into work. Yesterday's jewelry promotion campaign was progressing smoothly. The client was very pleased with our concept and had already confirmed the partnership. Director Shen, you're incredible, Shaoli said excitedly. This is our biggest project this year. It's the result of teamwork, I said with a smile. We're throwing a celebration this afternoon. At lunch, Xiao Zhang said mysteriously. Wan, did you know, Hu Jingshan and Su Ruru are engaged? My chopsticks paused for a moment, but I quickly went back to normal. Oh, is that so? Aren't you upset? Xiao Zhang asked in surprise. They moved way too fast, didn't they? Why would I be angry? I took a sip of soup. I was the one who took the initiative to break off the engagement. Isn't it perfectly normal for them to get engaged? But, no buts, I set down my chopsticks. Hu Jingshan and I were never a good match to begin with. Now we've each found the path that suits us best. What could be better than that? Xiao Zhang looked at me, as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, he said nothing. The celebration in the afternoon went very well, and everyone was in high spirits. I was happy too, because this was an achievement I had earned entirely on my own. When I got back to the apartment that evening, I made myself a lavish dinner: red wine, braised beef, garlic broccoli, and my favorite cheesecake. Dinner for one can be elegant too. After dinner, I sat on the balcony with a glass of red wine, taking in the city lights at night. Hu Jingshan and Su Ruru are engaged. According to the story, they'll be getting married soon and living happily ever after, and me, the wicked supporting character, is supposed to be crying in a corner and trying every possible way to get back at them, but I don't want to. I want to live my own life, a wonderful, fulfilling, and free life. Let the hero and heroine have their romance. I'm going to be the heroine of my own life. Chapter 6. A month later, my life had completely settled into the right track. Work was going smoothly. I'd just been promoted to creative department manager, and my salary had gone up quite a bit. My life felt full too. I'd taken up yoga and floral design, and I'd even signed up for French classes. Most importantly, I was happy. This happiness came from within. It didn't depend on anyone, and it didn't need anyone's approval. Wan, there's a gathering today. Do you want to come? Xiao Zhang asked me. It's all friends from the advertising world. Sure, I agreed without hesitation. I rarely used to attend social events. I always had to consider Hu Jingshan's feelings and my parents' opinions. Now I want to do whatever I want. The party was held at an upscale bar, and everyone there was an elite in the industry. I wore a new black dress I had just bought and put on refined makeup, making me look especially elegant. Wow, Wan, you look gorgeous today, Xiao Zhang exclaimed. Single life really suits you. Thanks, I said with a smile, taking the champagne she handed me. The party was going really well, and I met a few interesting people, including a very talented photographer. Miss Shen, your creative vision is really distinctive, the photographer, Chen Mo, said. If there's a chance, maybe we could collaborate. Sure, here's my business card. Just as we were getting along well, the bar door was pushed open. Hu Jingshan and Su Ruru walked in, followed by a few friends. I froze for a moment, not expecting to run into them here. Su Ruru was clinging to Hu Jingshan's arm, a large diamond ring on her finger, obviously the legendary engagement ring. When she saw me, she clearly froze too, then walked over on her own. Sister Wan. What a coincidence, she smiled sweetly. How have you been lately? Very well, I replied indifferently. I'm truly sorry about what happened between me and brother Jingshan. She put on a guilty expression. I know you must be really upset. Sad. I laughed. Why should I be sad? I should be congratulating you too. Su Ruru froze, clearly not expecting me to react like that. Hu Jingshan also walked over. He looked at me with a complicated expression. Wan, you, Mr. Hua, Miss Su. Congratulations on your engagement. I raised my champagne glass, wishing you both happiness. After saying that, I downed the champagne in one gulp, then turned and went back to Chen Mo's side. Was that your former fiancé just now? Chen Mo asked in a low voice. Yes. Looks like you two ended things on pretty good terms. Yeah, we parted on amicable terms. Chen Mo nodded and didn't press any further. I was grateful for his consideration. For the rest of the time, I did my best to avoid Hu Jingshan and the others and focused on chatting with my new friends. But I could feel Hu Jingshan watching me the whole time, and that look made me a little uneasy. Wan, I'm going to the restroom, Xiao Zhang said. I nodded and went on discussing photography techniques with Chen Mo. A few minutes later, Hu Jingshan walked over. Shen Wan, can we talk alone? I glanced at Chen Mo, and he tactfully said, I'll go take a look over there and be back in a bit. Thanks. After Chen Mo walked away, I looked at Hu Jingshan. What is it? How have you been lately? Haven't you seen it? I'm doing great. I mean, are you really not upset at all? I frowned. Why would I be upset? Because Ruru and I, Hu Jingshan, I cut him off. Do you really think I should be hurting because of what happened between you two? That I should be crying and begging you to come back to me? He stayed silent. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I went on. I'm doing very well, better than I ever have before. I have my own job, my own friends, my own life. I don't need to depend on anyone to be happy, but we used to. Used to what? Used to be engaged. That was just our parents' arrangement. Used to know each other. That was just a coincidence. I looked at him. Hu Jingshan, there was never any real feeling between us. You know it, and so do I. He was about to say something, but Su Ruru walked over. Brother Jingshan, what are you talking about? She took hold of Hu Jingshan's arm and smiled at me. Sister Wan, thank you for your blessing. You're welcome, I replied politely. You two keep chatting. I'm going to find my friends. As I walked away, I heard Su Ruru say, Brother Jingshan, Sister Wan really seems to have let go. Can we finally relax now? Hu Jingshan didn't answer. I went back to Chen Mo and picked up where we left off. Are you okay? He asked with concern. I'm fine, I smiled. I just feel like some things have finally truly come to an end. Chapter 7. 2 months later, a small incident interrupted my life. Shin Wei suddenly came to see me. Sis, have you been doing okay? He said, standing at my apartment door, looking a little awkward. Not bad. I let him in. What made you think of coming to see me? He hesitated for a moment. I wanted to apologize to you. Apologize. I was a little surprised. About what happened before. I know I was really willful and always made you give in to me. Shinwei lowered his head. I've thought it through now. You're my sister. I should be protecting you, not going against you at every turn. I looked at my younger brother, who was 2 years younger than me. He seemed to have really grown up a bit. What made you suddenly see things so clearly? Mom and Dad have been fighting a lot lately, all because of the company. Shinwei sat on the sofa. The Hua family has withdrawn their investment from our company, and now we're having cash flow problems. I frowned. Is it that serious? It's pretty serious. Dad looks worried every day, and Mom is always crying. Shinwei looked at me. They regret it now. Regret letting you call off your engagement to Hua Jingshan, so you came to me because you want me to go back and win Hua Jingshan over. No, Shinwei shook his head hastily. That's not what I mean. I just want to say, sis, you did the right thing. That Hua Jingshan is nowhere near good enough for you. I was a little surprised. Shinwei used to admire Hua Jingshan a lot. Why are you saying that all of a sudden? I heard some things. Shinwei said bitterly. After Hua Jingshan got engaged to Su Ruru, he went around saying how spoiled and willful you used to be, that you were unreasonable and made a scene, and that you were jealous of Su Ruru. A chill rose in my chest, but I remained calm on the surface, and then I knew he was no good at all. A real man wouldn't badmouth his former fiancée like that. Shinwei said seriously. Sis, you were right to leave him. I smiled, feeling genuinely proud of this younger brother for the first time. Thanks for saying that, sis. Will you forgive me for being so immature back then? It's all in the past. I patted his shoulder. We've both grown up now, haven't we? Shinwei nodded, his eyes turning a little red. What about Mom and Dad? Tell them the Shin family's business can't rely entirely on marriage alliances, I said. If a partnership is that fragile, it means it wasn't solid to begin with. But the company is really struggling right now. How bad is it? Shinwei gave a detailed account of the company's situation. It wasn't looking good, but it wasn't at the point of bankruptcy yet. Here's the thing, I have some money. I can lend it to Dad to tide him over, I said. Really? Shinwei said in surprise. But wouldn't that mean you'd be helping us again? I don't want you sacrificing anything else for us. This isn't a sacrifice, it's an investment. I smiled. I can lend the money. But there are conditions. What are the terms? First, this is a business loan, so we need a contract and interest has to be paid. Second, I want to be involved in the company's business decisions. Third, if Mom and Dad ever try to use my marriage again to gain business advantages, the money must be repaid immediately. Shinwei nodded repeatedly. Okay, I'll go back and tell them. Also, I added, I hope this is the last time. From now on, the Shin family's business should rely on its own strength and not depend on outside connections. I understand. After seeing Shin Wei off, I sat on the balcony and thought for a long time. The original owner had always longed for her family's approval and affection, but that kind of love only seemed to appear when they needed something from her. I no longer crave that anymore. But as a member of this family, I have a duty to step in when they're truly in trouble. But this time, I'm going to help them in my own way, not as selfless devotion, but as a conditional partnership. The next day, Father Shin called me on his own initiative. 1-1. Vivi said you're willing to help the company. Yes, but I have one condition. I repeated what I had said to Shinwei yesterday. Father Shin was silent for a long time before finally saying, all right, I agree. Then let's set a time to sign the contract. 1-1. Father Shin said, his voice thick with emotion. I'm sorry, what's done is done, I said. Let's look ahead. After hanging up, I called my lawyer and got ready to draw up the contract. This time, I'm going to handle my family relationships the way a businessperson would, clear, fair, and with boundaries. Chapter 8. On the day we signed the contract, Mrs. Shin held my hand, her eyes red-rimmed. 1-1. Mom really did overlook your feelings before. I hope you can forgive me, Mom. It's all in the past. I gently patted her hand. From now on, we all need to live better lives. Now that you're living alone, Mom still can't help worrying. I'm doing very well. You don't need to worry about me. After Leaving the Shin family home, I went to the office recently. I took on a major project, developing a promotional strategy for the Chinese market for an international brand. It's a lot of work, but it's very challenging. Manager Shin. The client is very pleased with our initial proposal, Shaoli said excitedly. They'd like to see the full plan next week. Alright, everyone. Let's put in a bit of extra effort and do our best to land this project. I was so busy that I didn't finish packing up until 8 p.m., then I got ready to head home. I ran into the company's director, President Wang, in the elevator. Wan, you've been working really hard lately, he said with a smile. I heard you broke off your engagement with the Hua family. Yes, that's great, President Wang said, a flicker of interest crossing his eyes. I've always thought you were very talented, without family ties holding you back. You could go even further in your career. I gave a polite smile and said nothing, Mr. Wang was in his 40s and divorced, and apparently had been looking for the right partner for quite some time. Wan, if you have time, we could have a meal together and talk about work. Thank you for the invitation, Mr. Wang, but I've been quite busy lately. I declined politely when the elevator arrived. I walked out quickly. Wan, my invitation stands anytime, Mr. Wang said behind me. When I got back to the apartment, I let out a sigh after breaking off my engagement to Hu Jingshan. Quite a few people started making a move on me. There were co-workers, clients, and even so-called quality men introduced by my parents' friends, but right now, I really didn't want to date. I wanted to focus on work, on life, and on becoming a better version of myself. My phone rang. It was Chen Mo. Wan, I've already turned that idea you mentioned last time into a sample video. Want to come take a look? Sure. Where? My studio. I'll send you the address. Chen Mo's studio is in the Arts District, and the decor is very stylish. Look. This is the video shot based on your idea. He played me a clip. The visuals are beautiful, the concept is unique, and it completely exceeded my expectations. Amazing, I exclaimed sincerely. Your skills are really impressive. It's mostly because your ideas are so good, Chen Mo said with a smile. We really work well together. We discussed a few details together, and before we knew it, 2 hours had passed. It's getting late, I'll take you home, Chen Mo said. No need, I drove here myself. Then I'll walk you to the parking lot. On the way, Chen Mo suddenly asked, Wan, do you have a boyfriend? I froze for a moment. No. Then, can I pursue you? I stopped in my tracks and looked at the man I had known for 2 months. Chen Mo was outstanding, talented, ambitious, and decent as well. By all rights, he was an ideal match, but, Chen Mo. Thank you for your feelings, I said seriously, but I don't want to start a relationship right now, why? Is it because of your ex-fiancé? No, I shook my head, I just think things are pretty good as they are now. I'm free, and I don't have to change myself for anyone, Chen Mo nodded, I understand. Then can I wait for you, I don't know when I'll change my mind. Maybe it'll be a long time, or maybe it never will, that's okay. I'm willing to wait, looking at the resolve in his eyes. Warmth surged through my heart. Thank you, no problem, we're still friends, right? Of course. On the drive home, I thought about how things used to be between Hu Jingshan and me during our 3-year engagement. He had never spoken to me so gently, and he had never truly cared about what I thought. Maybe that's the difference. Chen Mo respected my choice and was willing to wait for my decision, but Hu Jingshan never once asked me what I wanted. When I got back to the apartment, I made myself a cup of herbal tea and sat on the balcony watching the night view. The city looked beautiful at night, with all its lights shining bright and full of life. My life is like that too, single, but full of color. I don't need to rely on anyone to prove my worth. I am my own queen. Chapter 9. 3 months later, our company landed that international brand account, and I was promoted to creative director. At the celebration, all my colleagues were happy for me. Wan, you're incredible, Xiao Zhang said, raising his champagne glass. From supervisor to director in just half a year, it's the result of teamwork, I smiled. Without everyone's support, I couldn't have done this on my own. You're being modest, Mr. Wang walked over. Wan, everyone can see how capable you are, but with the title of director comes greater responsibility and more pressure, so you'd better be prepared. I'll do my best. Halfway through the celebration, I went outside for some fresh air. At the hotel entrance, I ran into Hu Jingshan. He was standing there alone, and he visibly froze when he saw me. Wan, Mr. Hua, I nodded, What a coincidence, what are you doing here? It's a company party, I replied simply, backslash, what about you, backslash a business dinner, backslash, he said, looking at me, backslash, I heard you got promoted, backslash yeah, backslash, we stood at the doorway, and the atmosphere was a little awkward, backslash Wan, I backslash, Hu Jingshan seemed about to say something, but then he stopped himself. Is something wrong? I asked. No, it's just, I'm really glad to see you doing so well, I smiled, thank you, and what about Miss Sue? Is she doing okay? Hu Jingshan's expression turned complicated. We broke up. What? I said in surprise. Weren't you two engaged? Yes, but later we realized we weren't right for each other. Hu Jingshan gave a bitter smile. In fact, we were never a good match from the start. I was just blinded by my feelings at the time. I was silent for a moment. According to the story, the hero and heroine were supposed to go through some ups and downs, but in the end, they'd still end up together. Are they breaking up now because of me? This wild card. I'm sorry, I said. You don't need to apologize. This isn't your fault. Hu Jingshan looked at me. It's my fault. I've hurt too many people. What's past is past. Wan, may I ask you a question? What? If time could turn back, would we still have a chance? I looked at him, the man the original me had been obsessed with for 3 years. Hu Jingshan, there are no ifs, I said calmly, and besides, I'm doing very well now, really well. I have my own career, my own life, and I don't need to rely on anyone, but what? I cut him off. Did you just realize you'd lost someone who truly loved you? Did you suddenly figure out that Sururu isn't as good as me? Hu Jingshan said nothing. Hu Jingshan, none of that matters anymore, I said. I'm no longer the Shen Wanwan who couldn't eat or sleep because of you. I'm now Shen Wanwan, creative director, Shen Wanwan the independent woman, Shen Wanwan who doesn't need anyone to define her worth. After saying that, I turned and was about to leave. Wan, wait, Hu Jingshan stopped me. I know I have no right to ask for your forgiveness, but I need to say this, I really regret it. I looked back at him. Regret what? Regret choosing Sururu, or regret losing the Shin family as a useful marriage alliance? No, I regret never taking your feelings seriously. Hu Jingshan's voice tightened with emotion. I regret treating you with such cold indifference. I regret never trying to understand the real you. What's the point of saying this now? I want to start over. I want to truly get to know you, understand you. It's too late. I shook my head. Hu Jingshan, feelings aren't something you can just take when you want them and throw away when you don't. The moment you chose Sururu, it was over between us. But, no buts, I said firmly, my life is good now, and I don't need anyone disturbing it. This time, I really left. Leaving Hu Jingshan standing there alone back at the party, Xiao Zhang asked me, what took you so long? I ran into someone I knew and we chatted for a bit. Someone you knew? My ex-fiancé. I lifted my champagne, but now he's just a stranger. Xiao Zhang's jaw dropped. What did he want from you? He wanted to start over. I took a sip of champagne. I turned him down. Why? Hu Jingshan is so outstanding. There are plenty of outstanding people, but not every outstanding person is right for me. I smiled. Besides, being single is pretty nice too. Chapter 10. Half a year later, my life had completely settled into a stable routine at work. The team I led won several major projects in a row, and the company's performance kept soaring. As a result, I also gained recognition in the industry and was named Creative Director of the Year. On the personal side, I learned a lot of new skills: floral design, photography, French, and even a bit about investing and financial management. Every weekend was packed with plans, visiting exhibitions, attending concerts, and having meals with friends. Most importantly, I found my true self, not Hu Jingshan's fiancée, not the Shin family's daughter, but the one and only Shin Wanwan. This is the latest project plan. Take a look. Xiaoli placed the file on my desk. I skimmed through it and offered a few suggestions for revisions. By the way, there's an industry summit tomorrow. Are you going to attend? Of course. You can't miss an opportunity like this to learn. At the summit the next day, I gave a speech on the integration of creativity and business, and it was very well received. Afterward, many people came over to exchange business cards with me, including several investors. Ms. Shen, are you interested in starting your own business? One investor asked me, with your abilities and experience, you could easily set up your own studio. I'm not quite planning on that yet, I replied politely, but thank you for your advice. If you change your mind, feel free to reach out anytime. As I was leaving the venue, I ran into Hu Jingshan again at the entrance. Over the past 6 months, we've run into each other now and then at various events, but it was always just a brief greeting, nothing more. Wan, your speech today was excellent, he said. Thank you. I heard some investors want to put money into your startup. Who did you hear that from? The business circle is only so big, word gets around fast, Hu Jingshan said, looking at me. Have you considered it? Not at the moment, I said honestly. I'm very satisfied with my current job. With your abilities, starting a business would probably be a huge success, Mr. Hua. You're acting very out of character today. I looked at him. If something's on your mind, just say it. Hu Jingshan was silent for a moment. I want to invest in you. What? If you're willing to start a business, I can be your investor. He said seriously, strictly a business partnership, nothing else. I laughed. Hu Jingshan, do you really think I'd accept? Why not? It's a great opportunity for you. Because I don't want anything to do with you, I said flatly. Hu Jingshan, I thought I'd made that perfectly clear. This is just a business partnership. Maybe that's how it looks to you, but what about everyone else? I shook my head. I've worked hard to build up my image as an independent woman. I don't want that to be called into question because of your investment. Hua Jingshan froze. Besides, I went on, I'm not short of investors. If I really wanted to start a business, there'd be plenty of people willing to back me. Then why don't you start a business? Because I don't want to start one just for the sake of starting one. I looked at him. Hu Jingshan, I'm very happy with my life as it is now. I have a stable job, a decent income, and free time. Why should I take a risk on something uncertain? But starting a business could help you create even greater value. I laughed. Who gets to define what counts as value? Does being the boss automatically make you a success? Does making a lot of money automatically make you valuable? Hu Jingshan fell silent. Hu Jingshan, I don't think you really understand me. I said, you think I should be ambitious, that I should want more wealth and status, but in reality, all I want is a peaceful and fulfilling life. Forget it. Let's not talk about this anymore. I glanced at the time. I've got plans, so I should go. After I left this time, I didn't look back again on the way there. I thought about what the investor had said. Starting my own business really would be a good choice. With my current experience and connections, the chances of success are high, but do I really want that kind of life, spending every day in meetings, fundraising, managing a team, and dealing with all kinds of complicated business problems? I shook my head. At least for now, I don't. I like the life I have now. Challenging, but not overwhelming, rewarding, but not enough to make me lose myself. The end. Story 2. On the day of our daughter's 5th birthday, Xiangwan posted a group photo on Moments with the caption, "The child was crying for her dad before going to bed," and her kind-hearted dad immediately put down his work and rushed over. The man lying on the bed with her in the photo was my husband, Zhou Xingjing. I looked at the message I received 10 minutes ago. There's something up at the company tonight. You and Mian don't have to wait for me. I gave it a like and then dialed the number of my divorce lawyer. When Zhou Xingjing came back, it was already 2 o'clock in the morning. Sensing the glaring light, I covered my daughter's eyes immediately. Zhou Xingjing leaned against the doorframe and said, "Wife, I'm back. Wake Mian up. I'll accompany her to celebrate her birthday." In the past, I cared a lot about these family rituals, whether it was birthdays, festivals, anniversaries, or kindergarten activities. I would ask Zhou Xingjing to participate as much as possible. I didn't want Mian to be like me, only able to see her dad through mobile phone videos. But now I straightened the quilt and said in a flat tone, "No need." A trace of impatience flashed across Zhou Xingjing's face. "Tang Yu, I went there just to let how you sleep. Don't misunderstand. I didn't dare to tell you the truth because you're always so suspicious." I wasn't misunderstanding. And from now on, I wouldn't be suspicious either. If you have nothing else to do, go to your own room. Don't disturb Mian's sleep. She has to go to school tomorrow. Hearing my reply, Zhou Xingjing sneered, "Suit yourself, but don't say later that I'm absent from Mian's growth." I turned around to turn off the light and gently patted my daughter in my arms, who had been slightly disturbed. As for his absence, it didn't matter anymore. After all, Mian's birthday wish this year was, "I don't want to see Dad anymore." The next morning, after having breakfast, Zhou Xingjing didn't go out directly as he used to. Instead, he sat there watching the morning news. When he was about to go out, he suddenly picked up his keys, walked over, and touched Mian's head. "Dad will take you to school today." The words were for our daughter, but his eyes were staring straight at me. 2 years ago, when Mian first started kindergarten, Zhou Xingjing picked her up and dropped her off every day. But after Xiangwan came, he went out earlier and earlier, saying that the company's morning meeting time had been advanced and he didn't have time to send the child. I always believed him until 3 months ago when Mian transferred to another kindergarten. I saw at the kindergarten gate that the man who should have been at the company bent down and carried a little boy out of the back seat, so it wasn't that he didn't have time to pick up and drop off our daughter, he just had more important things to do. That night, we had a fierce quarrel. From the next day on, Mian never asked her dad to send her to school again. Although I had decided to get a divorce, Zhou Xingjing was still Mian's father after all. After thinking for a moment, I didn't say no. The man's lips curled slightly, and he bent down to pick Mian up. When I opened the car door, I was stunned. The back seat was filled with things: an Ultraman water bottle, a wooden bow and arrow, a women's shawl behind the seat. There was also a family photo hanging. Noticing my gaze, Zhou Xingjing's face changed slightly. Xiangwan hung it up casually, saying that how you would be happier seeing it. Don't throw a tantrum over such a trivial matter again. If it were in the past, I would definitely smash the family photo and then cry and question Zhou Xingjing what Mian and I meant to him. But now, I nodded. It's a nice photo. Zhou Xingjing looked at me with a strange expression. Aren't you angry? Angry, maybe I should be, but somehow, I felt nothing. I even felt like laughing. Could Zhou Xingjing, who was always known for his shrewdness, not see such clumsy tricks? He just didn't care. Get in the car quickly, Mian will be late. Hearing my urging, Zhou Xingjing pursed his thin lips and opened the driver's door. Just as I was about to pick Mian up and get in the car, Zhou Xingjing's phone rang. I have a good dad, a good dad. On the other end of the phone, the little boy was crying heartbreakingly. Dad, where are you? Don't you want How and Mom anymore? After hanging up the phone, Zhou Xingjing didn't even look at us and quickly got into the car. How you is crying and looking for me. The driver will send you today. The black Maybach sped away. I was a little worried about Mian, so I squatted down to comfort her. Dad has something to do today. Next time, when he's free, we'll send you to school together, okay? A maturity beyond her age appeared on Mian's face. Dad won't be free. He saves all his time for Wan Haoyu and his mom. In the evening, Zhou Xingjing called. You, I'll be back late today. Haoyu is sick. Okay, I agreed so quickly that Zhou Xingjing's explanation got stuck in his throat. He thought I was in a bad mood, and there was dissatisfaction in his tone. Tang Yu, don't be temperamental. Then he hung up the phone. 10 minutes later, several text messages came in. Sorry, Tang Yu. Haoyu has been very clingy to his dad recently, but he really shouldn't have left you. And Mian as soon as he received my call, I'll scold him. Don't be angry. At the end, there was an emoji of a person covering their mouth and smiling. It was Xiangwan. These text messages were more like a declaration of war than an apology. I had no intention of competing with her for the man, so I directly deleted and blocked her. Not long after, Zhou Xingjing called again. Tang Yu, what on earth are you doing? Xiangwan apologized to you, and this is your attitude? Faint sobbing sounds of a woman and a child could be heard from the other end of the phone. I didn't say anything. After a long time, the man's deep voice came. Tang Yu, how could you become like this? I'm so disappointed in you. It was Xiangwan who provoked me first, but as long as she cried, Zhou Xingjing would put all the blame on me, as if I were some kind of evil villain. When I got home, I started packing my luggage. When Zhou Xingjing called, I was consulting a lawyer. After the divorce, I could get at least 30% of the shares of Zhou's company, and when the custody conditions of both parties were similar, the daughter would be given priority to the mother. The last bit of worry was gone. Clothes, bags, jewelry, and toys that Mian liked, these were all to be taken away. When I received the last box, I was in a trance for a moment. My hands were slightly trembling as I opened the wax-sealed box covered with dust. It was a box full of love letters from Zhou Xingjing when he was 17 to 22 years old. I opened the top most one. The beginning read, Hello, 27-year-old Tang Yu. I'm 17-year-old Zhou Xingjing. This is the first love letter I write to you. According to our agreement, we will open this letter together 10 years later. We must be married by then, and maybe we even have a lovely child. My phone rang. On the other end of the line was the 27-year-old Zhou Xingjing. Tang Yu, do you know that Xiangwan has run away from home with the child? If anything happens to them, I won't let you go. I happened to see the end of the letter at that moment. Signature, Zhou Xingjing, who will always love Yaya. My heart ached as if something had broken gently. I hung up the phone and threw the box into the fireplace. That night, Zhou Xingjing didn't come back. I didn't desperately call him as I used to, crying and vowing not to make things difficult for Xiangwan anymore. My daughter didn't ask about her dad either. She just quietly took the photo of her and Zhou Xingjing. When I was packing, Zhou Xingjing and I fell into a cold war until a week later, when Mian's kindergarten needed a parental consent form to be signed, which required face recognition. I called Zhou Xingjing. only to find that I had been blocked. Helpless, I had to take the consent form to his company to find him. I hadn't waited long when I saw a familiar figure enter Zhou Xingjing's office. The assistant pouring water nearby looked a little guilty. Sister-in-law, Boss Zhou has given instructions that Sister Xiang Wan can enter his office at will. This special privilege of Xiang Wan, come to think of it, was caused by me. At that time, I always brought meals to Zhou Xingjing. We would chat while eating, and the chat would last for an hour. Once, Xiang Wan came to see him, but was stopped by the assistant. When Zhou Xingjing came out to see me off after the meal, Xiang Wan and Wan Haoyu were already shivering with cold, their lips turning white. That was the first time Zhou Xingjing showed me a cold face. He got very angry, saying that bringing meals to him every day was a waste of his time. The assistant who stopped Xiang Wan was also fired. Since then, everyone knew that Xiang Wan was the apple of Zhou Xingjing's eye. I never came to the company again. I smiled and nodded at the assistant, then got up and walked straight to the office. Zhou Xingjing was indeed in a meeting. He was a little surprised to see me. "Why are you here?" Xiang Wan was sitting on the armrest of his chair, so close to him that they were almost touching. Noticing my gaze, he hesitated to speak. "Tang Yu, don't misunderstand. Xiang Wan happens to know a bit about this project, so," I nodded and handed him the tablet. "Mian Mian is going on a research study activity and needs a parent's signature. You came just for this. What else?" The air pressure around the man dropped, although I didn't know why. Based on my understanding of Zhou Xingjing, he was in a very bad mood now. Xiang Wan sneered, "What's so difficult about a signature, Xingjing? Miss Tang just wants to make up with you. You've been staying at my place these days. You should go back and see Mian Mian." Zhou Xingjing's brows relaxed. He threw the tablet on the coffee table and gave a playful smile. "Tang Yu, you've learned to use the child as an excuse now. Apologize to Xiang Wan, or I won't sign this." In the past, hearing such words would make me very angry. I would be angry that Zhou Xingjing didn't care about his daughter, and even angrier that he did this for Xiang Wan. But now, I wasn't angry with anyone. I was just thinking that if there was no parent's signature, Mian Mian wouldn't be able to go on the research study activity, and she would be disappointed. I looked at Zhou Xingjing and Xiang Wan, who was still sitting on the armrest of his chair, and left the office without looking back. At worst, I would tell the teacher that Mian Mian didn't have a dad. I had just walked a few steps when a clear male voice sounded. "If Miss Tang doesn't mind, perhaps I can do it for you." It was the man who had been in Zhou Xingjing's office just now. "After all, I've been watching your family affairs for so long." I then took a closer look at him. He was wearing a pure, black suit, exuding an abstinent aura. His features were cold and sharp, and he looked extremely wealthy. I directly handed him the tablet, and the authentication was quickly passed. 3 flamboyant characters appeared on the screen. Huiji, the divorce agreement had been drawn up. I unilaterally ended this cold war and asked Zhou Xingjing to come home that night. When I went to the kindergarten to pick up Mian Mian, his Maybach was already waiting in the pick-up area. The car window rolled down, revealing Xiang Wan's proud smiling face in the passenger seat. "Miss Tang, you're here to pick up the child too. This is a prestigious kindergarten. Why are you still wearing last year's coat? Aren't you afraid that the child will be laughed at?" I didn't bother to pay attention to her and moved a little further away. Xiang Wan looked at the man in the driver's seat, her face full of grievance. "Xingjing, did I say something wrong again?" Miss Tang seems angry, but Zhou Xingjing, unusually, didn't answer. He stared at my thin coat without moving, and said in a stiff tone, "Tang Yu, it's windy outside, get in the car first." I moved even further away. I don't know when it started, but we became more and more estranged. Even when he said a word of concern, it seemed so forced. When we were almost at the gate, 2 children in the line started fighting. Frowning, I saw that one of them was Mian Mian. I quickly ran over and pulled them apart, only to find that the other child in the fight was Wan Haoyu. He was stunned when he saw me, then immediately sat on the ground and started crying. "Wah wah wah, Auntie hit me, it hurts so much." Zhou Xingjing and Xiang Wan also rushed over. Xiang Wan picked up her son, her face full of resentment. "Tang Yu, even if you don't like me, you can't take it out on a child. It's just a fight between 2 children. Do you have to be so excited?" Zhou Xingjing also looked at me with dissatisfaction, completely forgetting that Mian Mian was his biological daughter. The teacher looked embarrassed. "Ms. Mian Mian's mom, Ms. Haoyu's mom." The 2 children saw Mr. Zhou just now and both said he was their dad. They started arguing and then fighting. It was dismissal time, and there were parents all around coming to pick up their children. What's going on? How can there be a fight over a dad? Could it be the wife and the mistress? The man looks rich, maybe the child is vain and talking nonsense. but who knew it happened to be heard by the other child, being money-worshipping at such a young age. I don't know how the family educates the child. Wan Haoyu was still crying, hugging Zhou Xingjing's neck and constantly shouting Dad and Mian Mian. She just held my hand tightly, staring at Zhou Xingjing without blinking. The other children were also curious. Uncle, who is your real child? Hurry up and say. The one who wrongly claims a dad has to apologize. Zhou Xingjing opened his mouth. I'm Mian. At this moment, Xiang Wan gently tugged at his sleeve, her eyes full of pleading. Almost instantly, I understood that Zhou Xingjing was wavering, just like countless times before. As long as Xiang Wan spoke, Mian Mian and I became his second choice. I gritted my teeth and reminded him coldly, Zhou Xingjing, your answer now will affect Mian Mian for the rest of her life. Think carefully before you speak. The man's body stiffened slightly, his lowered eyes showed no emotion. He said in a voice that was not loud but could be heard by everyone present, I'm Haoyu's dad. Little kid, did you mistake me for someone else? My heart tightened, as if it had been struck hard by a sledgehammer. I was so pained that I almost shed tears. This is our daughter. The onlooking parents started to blame Mian Mian. Little girl, why are you wrongly claiming someone else's dad and even hitting his real son? Yeah, even after the truth is out, she still doesn't apologize. She has no manners at all. She's jealous of their wealth and wants to be a rich man's daughter. That's all. Her mom doesn't look like a nice person either. She looks so flashy. Maybe she's in that kind of business and deliberately taught her daughter to wrongly call someone dad to find a rich backer. Zhou Xingjing, are you even human? Before I could finish speaking, a sharp pain came from my palm. Mian Mian bit her lower lip, her grip on my hand surprisingly strong. Her eyes quickly dimmed. Mom, let it go. Then, she bowed woodenly to Zhou Xingjing. Uncle, I'm sorry, I mistook you for someone else. In the dessert shop, I held my daughter tenderly. Mian Mian, he is your dad. Mom doesn't force you to love him, but I also don't want you to grow up with hatred. A calm childish voice replied to me. Mom, I don't have a dad. He himself admitted that he's Wan Haoyu's dad. I touched the divorce agreement in my bag and booked a flight to Hong Kong City for tonight. On my phone was an apology message from Zhou Xingjing sent 10 minutes ago. I'm sorry, but Haoyu comes from a single-parent family. In that situation just now, I could only lie. I'll explain it clearly to the teacher tomorrow. I'll never let our daughter be wronged. This was the first time he apologized to me for something related to Xiang Wan. But unfortunately, I no longer needed it, and neither did Mian Mian. One last trip back to pick up our documents and some change of clothes, and then we could bid farewell to this city completely. I thought no one was at home, but to my surprise, there were not only people but quite a few of them in the living room. Wan Haoyu was holding Mian Mian's favorite toy, sitting on Mian Mian's exclusive small sofa and watching TV. Zhou Xingjing and Xiang Wan came out of the kitchen with dishes in their hands. They were both stunned when they saw Mian Mian and me. I frowned. We weren't divorced yet, and he already brought them home. Zhou Xingjing explained about what happened today. Xiang Wan felt she should apologize to you. She was afraid you'd think it wasn't sincere, so she wanted to cook some dishes herself. They're all your favorites. I sneered. I don't dare to eat the food you two made. Feeling guilty, Zhou Xingjing, unusually, didn't get angry. He said to Mian Mian and Wan Haoyu, you two go play in the room for a while. Dad and Mom have something to talk about. As soon as the children entered the room, Xiang Wan came up to apologize, whether intentionally or not. She stood in a row with Zhou Xingjing. Miss Tang, what happened today was all my fault. I blame myself for not correcting Haoyu in time, making him always think Xingjing is his biological father. If you really mind, I'll take Haoyu and leave City S. I'll never come back to bother you and Xingjing again. As she spoke, she started to cry. I looked at the woman in front of me and remembered the first time we met. At that time, her husband had just passed away. She was kneeling in front of us with her child, crying pitifully. Now that I think about it, perhaps Zhou Xingjing had feelings for her from that moment on. A woman with raven black hair and red lips, kneeling in front of him, saying he was her reliance for the rest of her life, who could remain unmoved. I curled my lips and took out the divorce agreement. You don't need to leave. I will. Zhou Xingjing, let's get a divorce. After the divorce, you can be Xiang Wan's good husband and Wan Haoyu's good father openly. Zhou Xingjing looked at me with a gloomy face, his eyes dark. Tang Yu, are you threatening me? I nodded. Let's just say so. The man laughed out of extreme anger. Tang Yu, do you really think I don't dare? I've told you so many times. Brother Wan is my childhood friend. When we were young, we swore that if one of us passed away, the remaining one would take good care of the other's family. Why are you so narrow-minded? I remained calm. Yes, I'm narrow-minded, mister. Zhou, you're so magnanimous, don't bother with me, hurry up and sign the agreement. Enraged by my indifferent attitude, Zhou Xingjing snatched the agreement, didn't even look at it, picked up a pen and signed his name, then threw the papers at my feet. Tang Yu, I signed it, what about you? Do you dare to divorce? I picked up the agreement, just as I was about to speak. Wan Haoyu ran out of the room crying, wah wah wah, Dad, Mian Mian hit me. The bloodstain on his face was particularly scary. Zhou Xingjing glared at me, his eyes as if he wanted to eat me. Tang Yu, look at the good daughter you've raised. Mian Mian also came out of the room. Mom, I didn't hit him, he fell down by himself. Zhou Xingjing roared, Zhou Mian Mian, you've even learned to lie. Apologize to Haoyu right now. Do you hear me? Mian Mian glanced at him but didn't answer. Seeing this, Wan Haoyu cried even louder, wah wah wah, Dad, it hurts so much. Zhou Xingjing looked at Mian Mian coldly. Mian Mian, Dad doesn't like children who lie. You're really disappointing, Dad. Mian Mian was about to say something, but I stopped her. Zhou Xingjing, there are surveillance cameras at home. To find out who's lying, we just need to check the surveillance. Hearing this, Xiang Wan's eyes became a bit flustered. Unusually, she tried to smooth things over. Forget it, it's normal for kids to fight. There's no need to check the surveillance. Our Haoyu is the older brother. It's okay if his little sister hits him a couple of times. What do you mean forget it? My daughter, Tang Yu's daughter, can't be wrongly accused. You have to check the surveillance today. Seeing my insistence, Zhou Xingjing opened the door to the surveillance room. On the surveillance, it was clearly shown that Wan Haoyu fell down by himself. Xiang Wan kept making excuses beside him. Xingjing, Haoyu is just a child. He was so scared that he had to lie. Maybe Mian Mian bullied him before, or else he wouldn't act like this. But Zhou Xingjing seemed not to hear. He stared fixedly at the upper left corner of the surveillance screen. In the video, I threw a box into the fireplace, my movements quick and without the slightest hesitation. Zhou Xingjing rushed over and grabbed my wrist, his eyes red-rimmed. Tang Yu, you burned it. How could you burn it? I looked into Zhou Xingjing's eyes and said in a calm tone, it was crawled over by bugs, it was dirty, and I didn't want it, so I burned it. I'll take Mian Mian back to Hong Kong City. I'll send you the agreement later. Seeing my expressionless face, Zhou Xingjing visibly panicked. He finally realized that I really wanted to divorce him. Yeah, I don't really want a divorce. I thought you were just threatening me. Xiang Wan was also in a panic. The fake smile on her face could barely hold up, but she still forced herself to speak. Is Miss Tang using a retreat as an advance, burning a box of worthless things? It doesn't seem to be worth much. Get out of the way. Xiang Wan fell to the ground, looking at Zhou Xingjing in disbelief. Wan Haoyu also started crying loudly. Wah wah wah, Mom lied. Mom said that after driving them away, Dad would be mine alone. I did everything Mom told me to do. Why aren't they leaving? Why aren't they leaving? In an instant, the man's face lost all its color. I didn't bother to watch their commotion. I picked up my daughter and walked out. If we didn't leave soon, the plane would be late. In Hong Kong City, my mom, accompanied by the driver, was waiting for me at the airport. I told you long ago not to marry that poor guy. With a mother like his, what good person could he turn out to be? I covered Mian Mian's ears. Mom, the child is here. My mom sighed. After all, she felt sorry for her daughter. Coming home is the most important thing. Then, she lovingly started playing with her granddaughter. After resting for a few days, I took Mian Mian to look for a new kindergarten. Finally, we settled on a private school near our home. It had excellent confidentiality and held many parent-child activities. When I finished signing and was about to leave, the kindergarten principal stopped us. Miss Tang, the child's father said he's on his way. There's an activity today. You can participate and have a look. Zhou Xingjing, I frowned. The words of refusal were just on the tip of my tongue when a male voice interrupted me. The activities in this kindergarten are very interesting. Does Mian Mian want to give it a try? Outside the door was none other than Hui Yiji, whom I had met last month. Seeing my stunned expression, Hui Yiji waved his hand in front of my eyes. What, don't you recognize the child's father? After some explanation, I found out that Hui Yiji's information was entered during the school roll connection. I felt a bit apologetic, but he waved his hand. It's nothing. Anyway, I'm not busy. I looked at his phone that rang 10 times in 3 minutes and didn't expose him. Today's activity was a parent-child sports meeting. Mian Mian chose the 3-legged race and the relay race to participate in. She was screaming with joy on the playground. Shaking off the gloom of these past few days, I took some precautions. During the break of the activity, I asked my mother to check Hui Yiji's identity. Who would have thought that as soon as I sent his name and photo, My mother laughed. This is the Hua family's boy. He often snatched your toys when you were little. Have you forgotten? Suddenly, it dawned on me. I finally knew where the sense of familiarity with Huaiji came from. I grew up in Hong Kong City. I moved to City S with my parents after graduating from primary school and rarely came back. Thinking carefully, I saw Huaiji once at my grandpa's funeral a few years ago. After the activity, I took Mian Mian home. As we were walking, Mian Mian's face suddenly turned solemn. I followed her gaze. In the setting sun, a familiar figure was standing in front of our house. It was Zhou Xingjing. He chased us to Hong Kong City and, as if nothing had happened, followed Mian Mian and me. He was there at the kindergarten, the mall, and the dessert shop. Sometimes, he would come up and say a few words. When he saw our impatient expressions, he would retreat behind us with a desolate look on his face. At night, he always stood outside the Tang family's villa. When he was sleepy, he would doze off leaning against the door. Until half a month later, Huaiji returned from a business trip abroad and entered the Tang family's house in front of him. Hearing the bodyguard say, "Miss has given instructions that Mr. Hu can enter, but you can't," he finally couldn't control his emotions. His eyes red. He asked me, "You, we loved each other so deeply. Have you really forgotten all about it?" I was stunned. The 17-year-old Zhou Xingjing would get up at 5 in the morning to wait for me to go to school and would patiently explain problems to me. The 20-year-old Zhou Xingjing would start his thank you speech on the podium with my name and would bend down to tie my shoelaces on the crowded campus. The 22-year-old Zhou Xingjing would wash my feet with warm water every day when I was pregnant, would cry out of control outside the delivery room, and would hold our daughter all night to lull her to sleep. But the 27-year-old Zhou Xingjing would make me take a taxi home alone at night, would yell at me for another woman, and would deny being Mian Mian's dad in front of everyone. It was precisely because I hadn't forgotten our love that I couldn't forgive him. I asked the bodyguard to drive him away, but 3 days later, he appeared at the door again. The bodyguard knew he was Mian Mian's father and didn't dare to really do anything to him. On my phone, Zhou Xingjing kept sending messages. "Wife, I know I was wrong. Please, meet me." Okay. It started to rain heavily outside. I looked out of the window. Under the dim streetlights, a man in a black suit was standing in the rain, looking steadily at my room. When he saw my figure, a flattering smile appeared on his face. I took an umbrella and went out. A lawsuit for divorce would affect the stock price of the Tang family. Persuading Zhou Xingjing to divorce by agreement was the best solution. Seeing me come out, Zhou Xingjing's eyes lit up. "Wife, you're here. I knew you'd come. I've sent Xiongwan away. No one will bother us anymore." Then, he took out a little rabbit doll from his arms. "Mian Mian said she wanted to buy this before. I brought it for her. Can you give it to her for me?" The rain was pouring heavily. The man didn't care about sheltering himself from the rain, but tightly protected the doll in his arms with his coat. Mian Mian did say she wanted this, but it was a year ago. At that time, Zhou Xingjing was busy helping Wan Haoyu go through the school enrollment procedures and had no time to pay attention to her. I took the doll and directly threw it on the ground. Affection that comes too late is cheaper than grass. Zhou Xingjing's face turned pale. He forced a smile that was uglier than a cry. "Wife, you're still angry, right? Listen to me. I really have nothing to do with Xiongwan. She's just being amorous, so she's been trying to stir up trouble between us." I smiled mockingly. If Zhou Xingjing hadn't given her hope, how could she have the guts to provoke me again and again? She deliberately called him late at night, calling Zhou Xingjing away from home. She deliberately put photos of her and Wan Haoyu in the office, making new employees who didn't know the truth think she was Mrs. Zhou. She deliberately pasted Wan and Haoyu's special car on the car door to declare her sovereignty. All of this was obvious to even a 5-year-old like Mian Mian, but Zhou Xingjing, the person involved, said he didn't know. He just thought Mian Mian and I couldn't leave him, so he didn't care. I didn't bother to listen to his excuses. I turned to leave. "Zhou Xingjing, I'm not here to forgive you. I'm here to make things clear. Stay away from Mian Mian and me. I don't want a lawsuit for divorce, but if you insist, I don't mind meeting you in court." Zhou Xingjing's eyes froze. His hands gripping the railing turned white at the knuckles. "Wife, I won't give up the custody of Mian Mian. I'll hire the best lawyer." I stopped in my tracks and turned to look at him, thinking I was wavering. Zhou Xingjing showed an expectant look in his eyes and reached out to hold my hand. "Wife, you don't want to leave Mian Mian either, right?" "Zhou Xingjing, you forced me." I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. "Zhou Xingjing, you're really just like your mother, resorting to any means." In an instant, the man's face turned deathly pale. "Tang Yu, how could you? How could you?" I wouldn't have come to this if there was any other way. Zhou Xingjing's mother was his taboo and the main reason why my mother disagreed with our marriage back then. His mother was a bar hostess. When Zhou Xingjing was born, they didn't even know who his father was, but after having the child, Mother Zhou gave up that line of work and started doing odd jobs with her son. Although they didn't have much money, their days were warm and happy. When Zhou Xingjing was 17, he got an opportunity to participate in a competition. The registration fee and travel expenses added up to a considerable amount. Zhou Xingjing planned to give it up, but the school principal directly called his home that night. Quite a few people saw Mother Zhou enter a red-lit hair salon on the street. When a fat-faced man came out of the salon, Zhou Xingjing, holding a dagger, was about to rush at him. I held him back with all my might. The teenager knelt on the ground, crying heart-rendingly, just like he was doing at this moment. The man squatted on the ground, holding his face, and sobs came through his fingers. Tang Yu, don't treat me like this, please. Zhou Xingjing soon agreed to the divorce and didn't fight for the custody of Mianmian. I got 80% of the shares of Zhou's company. After getting Mianmian's consent, I changed her surname to Tang. Occasionally, some gossips would tell me news about Xiang Wan. Zhou Xingjing gave her a sum of money and asked her to leave City S and go back to her hometown, but she refused. She made several scenes at the company, demanding 20% of the shares of Zhou's company with outrageous greed. Zhou Xingjing finally saw her true colors clearly, called the police, and even took back the money he gave her before. Xiang Wan left in humiliation. After enjoying the life of luxury and wealth, she was not willing to do an ordinary job at all. She went around to catch meals and find rich men to rely on. In less than half a year, she got sick. As for Wan Haoyu, having lost his value of being used, he was directly sent back to his grandmother's home in the countryside. After the divorce, Zhou Xingjing would come to Hong Kong City once a month to visit Mianmian, hoping to repair their father-daughter relationship. But unfortunately, he always returned disappointed. Mianmian would ask to go home after spending half a day with him outside, and she never called him dad. I asked her once, and Mianmian said that every time she wanted to call out, she would think of what happened at the kindergarten that day, and she just couldn't bring herself to say the word dad. After Mianmian graduated from kindergarten, Hui Yiji proposed to me, but I didn't agree. Marriage is like a cage. I had just stopped being Mrs. Zhou and didn't want to become Mrs. Hui right away. I applied for a 1-year leave of absence for Mianmian and took her to travel around the world. The snow-capped mountains in Lhasa, the aurora in Iceland, the sunset by the Seine River, listening to the wind, watching the clouds, little by little, soothing her wounded heart. I wanted her to know that as vast as the world is, there are as many possibilities in her life. There's no need to dwell on the past. After we came back, I started to take over the Tang family's business. They all said that my father was senile and had handed the company to me, a pampered young lady. It wasn't until I exposed several senior executives in the general meeting of shareholders for embezzling with their power, removed a group of high-level managers on this ground, and then launched new products based on my years of living in City S, quickly seizing the market. Then they realized that I came prepared. In the business world, I would also run into people I knew before. They said that Zhou Xingjing had now completely become a workaholic. Only when Maya and Mianmian's names were mentioned would there be some emotional fluctuations in him. Why bother? Back then, you were an exemplary family that many people in the circle envied, yet, for someone else's wife and child, you ended up with a broken family. I heard that Mianmian still refuses to call him dad. If you have nothing else to do, go to your own room. Don't disturb Mianmian's sleep. She has to go to school tomorrow. The meeting has been postponed. I can't pick up the child again. My father and mother were traveling abroad, so I had to call Hui Yiji and ask him for help. He was quite proficient. After picking up Mianmian, he came to the company. After dinner, he sent us home on the way. As soon as Mianmian got home, she ran upstairs. The child has grown up and likes to be alone in the courtyard. Only Hui Yiji and I were left. He was wearing a gray suit today, looking even more aloof and noble. He half joked and asked, Tang Yu, if I propose now, will you reject me? I sighed. Hui Yiji, I have no plans to get married in the future. I can wait. The man's brows and eyes drooped slightly, and the outline of his side face was hidden in the shadow, making it hard to tell his emotions. To be fair, Hui Yiji was indeed a great marriage partner, the only heir of the Hui family, good-looking, with an outstanding temperament. Most importantly, he was very good to me. And Mianmian, my mother, had also asked me if I really wasn't attracted to him at all. I didn't answer at that time, but at this moment, looking at the man's bitter smile, I blinked. But, For the sake of you treating me to dinner, maybe you can have a room of your own in the Tang family. The evening breeze in June in Hong Kong City blew by, under the moonlight. Hui Yiji's dim eyes instantly lit up. Then, thank you, President Tang, the end.